All right. Well, I'm going to do a quick intro and then we'll hop into it.
Sweet.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Dilly Dilly. That's not what I say at all. Usually I put an outtake right at the beginning, so that might be how we start the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to Deep Dive with Dilly Dilly. Today we have a special episode because I'm going to be joined not only by Isaac here, but some other students throughout the podcast. And we're going to be talking about high school and all the things that students are dealing with today, common issues, and pieces of advice from recently graduated seniors. So Isaac, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are?
All right, I'm Isaac Schultz. I just graduated from Paynesville High School, and currently I'm going to be attending Heartland and going to youth ministry. So yeah.
My name is Ellie Brovold. I just graduated from Eden Valley Watkins High School about a week ago. I plan to go to college for nursing, and I'm the oldest of 3 kids. I have 2 younger siblings. Yeah, that's about it.
And today I'm joined with another recent graduate, Audrey.
What's
Audrey,
up?
why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
All right. Well, my name is Audrey Parks. Like Dylan said, I just actually graduated yesterday. I have been homeschooled since I was in 10th grade doing PSEO online. Really like it. Would totally recommend that to anybody. And next year, I am planning on going to Trinity Bible College in North Dakota, and I'm going to do the Pack Your Bags program, which is basically a school year of traveling around doing missions work while still getting college credits and staying in the dorms. So I'm really excited for it.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, first question I want to ask here is, with you being a recent graduate now and having gone throughout all of high school, 4 years, what would be one piece of advice you would want to know if you were going to start high school all over again? What's one thing you wish, man, I wish I would have known this day one when I was a freshman?
Yep. All right. I think the biggest thing for me was I always kind of went through the motions. I didn't care to be at school. I was really just like, just get me out of here. You know, I want to be done. I want to move on with my future. But I think the biggest thing for me was just I need to have fun, and I need to just like Ellie spoke about on Wednesday, was she was talking about having fun and not just going through the motions and making memories and going out of your comfort zone. And just I think one of the biggest things with me is don't waste your life. Have fun, make memories, go out of your comfort zone and make friends, create opportunities, and be bold. I think that's the biggest thing for me.
I remember being in high school and feeling like there was all this pressure on me.
Yeah.
And really, I think the only person putting pressure on me was me. And a lot of times, I think we put so much pressure on to get good grades, to make sure we're making our parents happy, our friends happy. Mm-hmm. We want to fit in with the crowd that's around school. So not taking yourself too seriously, allowing yourself to have a little fun, be bold in your faith, take those opportunities, but don't overly stress yourself out about all the things that are happening.
If I was going back to the start, square one, I would tell myself to not overthink everything that I worried about the first time. It's so fast, and it's quick, and you don't even think about all the things you worried about when you're done. All the little things, the tests, the friendships, the struggles, everything. Like looking back, I would say just pray about it. It gets better. It's fast. Don't overthink. That would probably be the biggest thing. Yeah.
I think one thing that I wish I knew now, that if I could go back, it would be don't put so much pressure on myself, because I think in high school you have this little micro environment where you feel like there's so much pressure. I have to have good grades. What do my friends think about me? What do people at school think about me? Trying to live up to maybe your parents' expectations. There's so many things that are going on in your life personally, and if I think you put too much pressure on yourself, take yourself too serious, it can be really hard to manage your own expectations. And like you said, high school is very short, and once you get out of it, you realize, okay, 90% of the stuff I was worried about probably doesn't really matter for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
One question I heard recently was, ask yourself, would this matter in 100 years? Because if it doesn't matter in 100 years, it's probably not worth stressing out crazy amounts over. So what is one piece of advice you would want to know if you were going to start high school all over again? Like, knowing what you know now, is there anything you would tell yourself coming into freshman year, or if you had to do it all over again, what would you tell yourself?
Yeah, so honestly, high school, once I was done with 8th grade, the ninth grade seemed so foreign. Like, the high school seemed like it was going to be crazy because I was still in public school at that point. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I'm going to be able to handle this. Like, this is going to be too much for me. So much homework, so many people. And they're all going to be older than me because, in middle school, 8th graders, they're like the top dogs. And then you go right back down to the bottom in 9th grade. So I'd say, like, the one piece of advice is, it's not as scary, it's not as intimidating as you think it is. Even though it might be a lot right at the beginning, I think that 9th grade was one of my favorite school years because, you're finally out of like the middle school with all of the people that are younger than you or a little bit more immature. And you're finally people are taking school seriously. They're all there for the same reasons. So yeah, that's what I would say.
What's one of the hardest things that you think high schoolers are facing today?
From what I faced with, I think anxiety was a big thing for me. I think that's such a big thing or depression too. I never faced that, but anxiety was a big thing for me. And I think that's one of the two biggest things. And I feel like that affects people so much, and it could cause them to shut down. And I think it's a really hard thing to deal with, especially if you don't have a good relationship with God. Man, it's tough. It makes things a lot harder. God just takes care of everything. You can just put it right on Him, and He's gonna outweigh all your problems. And I think those two are really, really big. And yeah, I
think a lot of students that I see, again, it goes back to that idea of putting so much pressure on ourselves. In high school, I feel like, especially if you feel like, I want to fit in with people at school, and I don't want people to know I'm struggling sometimes. And I think that's one thing I love about youth, is that it's a safe place to say, hey, there's things in my life that I am struggling with. There's a lot of pressure on my life, and having that community to say, hey, can you pray for me, or can you, just check in with me, how things are going. And it enables you to have kind of that spot where you can not only connect with God, but connect with other people.
Yep, I think that's a huge thing for me too. Coming here, I definitely, obviously school, there's a lot of titles you give people, or groups of people, there's cliques and stuff like that. But when you come to church, everybody's together. It's one big family. Mm-hmm. Like you guys say, once a family, always a family. It's so true. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, was coming to youth and finding my real true friends. Yeah. And I can grow with and have a good relationship with God with. So I think that's really huge for coming to youth group.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those who are maybe listening or watching that don't know this, but Isaac spoke a couple weeks ago at youth. And one of the things that you said that really stuck out to me is find good people. Mm-hmm. And, they say that you're the product of the 5 people you hang out with most. Yep. So for those of you who are going through something difficult, you feel that pressure, maybe you're dealing with anxiety or depression or whatever it is, maybe it's some other problem. If you can get around the right people, that's going to help you so much. What do you think is one of the hardest things or issues that high schoolers are dealing with today?
Kind of like we talked about before, the standards and expectations. I think high schoolers compare themselves to other people all the time. It's just a whole environment full of just destruct. Everybody's trying to be the best and trying to be better than everyone else, and you're comparing yourselves to other people, and you have social media now. Mm-hmm. It's just a whole mess of emotions and feelings. But yeah, I think the biggest thing would be the expectations and standards you hold yourself to. It's hard, that gets to you, and it'll take you over. School, you already have so much going on. And so when you're struggling with mental health and stuff, and you're just overwhelmed with all that, I think that's definitely one of the biggest things high schoolers struggle with.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels very competitive.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though there's no outright, I'm competing against you or them, it does feel very competitive, I feel in high school, thinking back on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody just wants to be, you're trying to be better. There's no, nobody's saying that it's a competition, but it's regardless, like you're subconsciously comparing yourself and working your way up, and like it's just not a happy environment if you don't have the right people around you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think someone very smart, who's not me, said comparison is the thief of joy.
Seriously.
And I think high school can be so comparative, and it can really steal your peace and your happiness and the joy that you should be having as a high schooler. Like it should be 100%. a low pressure situation, not a high pressure situation.
Yeah. So I'd say that the biggest thing is probably comparison, because I think that everybody goes into it thinking, everyone's going to be looking at me all the time, so I need to put on a pretty face. I need to, be a certain way so that everyone's going to like me. And oh my gosh, I like her hair. I think hers looks better than mine, or his shoes are so much cooler than mine. And everybody's constantly comparing themselves. And I think that that's really unhealthy, because honestly, I think that the only thing that we really should be comparing to is the standards that God has, and he tells us that we're beautifully and wonderfully made already. So I think that comparison can be a hole that you can get caught in very easily. And I think that like social media is one of the ways that people can just like keep scrolling and being like, wow, I wish I looked like that, or wow, I wish I had that. Like, man, all of my friends, I feel like they have more money than me, or wow, their clothes are so nice. And that is just like, if we don't learn to be content with what we have, with where we're at, I think that that can be a cycle that repeats itself for your entire life.
If you compare yourself constantly to someone else, you're never going to be happy with the person that God made you to be.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's just a vicious cycle. So yeah, I think that's super good.
Yeah, and I think also, just to like play off of that, I think that if you find what you're good at, and like you find your passions in life, then it's going to be so much easier not to compare yourself, because you find what you're good at and you realize that some people are better at these things. I'm good at this, so I'm going to run with that, and like, be 1% better at that every day.
Yeah, that's good. Instead of comparing your weaknesses to other people's strengths,
right?
Or like on social media, that's the biggest thing, is you compare your unedited life to someone's curated life. And yeah, just using what's in your strengths, in your wheelhouse, and focusing on that. That's really
for
good.
sure.
What's the most important thing? What's the most important lesson? Say it that way. That you learned in high school.
I think the most important thing for me was treating everybody with respect. It doesn't matter what their title is. They could be titled as the weird kid, popular kid, or a kid that sits alone at lunch. It doesn't even matter. But I think the biggest thing was just treating everybody the same.
What's the most important lesson you learned while in high school?
I kind of touched on this before, but surrounding yourself with good people is life-changing. Like, yeah. I mean, full 180. Like, you will only care about, like, when you surround yourself with good people, you do good things. You think good things, you feel good things. When you surround yourself with people who do bad things, you do bad things. It's just second nature. That's how we work. And that causes problems, like, elsewhere, too. That can cause you to feel overwhelmed and stressed. Like, it's a domino effect. So the biggest thing is surrounding yourself with good people, and knowing that it's okay to depend on God and on other people when times get hard. Like, high school is not supposed to be easy. Nobody ever said everything was a breeze. But when you have people that encourage you and you can look up to them and depend on them, and they hold you accountable, it makes it so much easier. And God's obviously always there for you too. Like, don't ever hesitate to reach out to him. It's like a best friend, like 24/7. So I think just knowing that it's okay and you're not alone. Like, you're not the only one that's having a hard time. It's not a walk in the park.
Yeah, for sure. I think probably the single biggest decision I made in high school was who I was going to hang out with.
Yeah. The most important lesson I learned was being intentional with the time that you're spending alone with God, because it makes all the difference. And I could say that 1,000 times and it wouldn't be enough, because I believe that, like, once you really start digging into the Word, once you really start, having that prayer life, it's just going to make all the difference. And actually, something that I've set a goal for myself this summer is kind of moving away from that concept of a prayer life, because I think that separates it from what I think it truly should be, because I don't really want a prayer life. I want a life filled with prayer.
Yeah.
So that's like my goal this summer, is to, just be constantly in communion with God. And I think that that's really the biggest thing that you could learn is that time alone with God is the most important time. So one thing that I would add on to all that is that surrounding yourself with good people will make all of that so much easier.
Yeah.
Because if you're surrounding yourself with people that are going to keep you accountable when you're reading your Bible, it's going to be easier to remember and want to, because there's other people doing it with you. So that's why I think that Bible studies and just having friend groups that are pursuing the Lord together is so important and so beneficial to your walk with the Lord, because if you're doing it together, then you're going to be pursuing it. And I think that if you have good people walking with you, then you're going to go far.
Yeah. I love one of my favorite books is by an author, Erwin McManus, and he says, if you want to go fast, go alone. Mm-hmm. If you want to go far, go together. But if you want to go far fast, find your people.
Yeah.
And I think if you can find good people to get around you, you're going to be able to be so much more efficient at life and be able to go so much further than you could ever on your own.
Yeah, that's so true.
And it's that whole, Peloton idea that if you ride together, you're going to go farther faster if you ride together with people that are doing the same thing, going the same direction as you.
Yeah.
What would you tell students to give them some perspective on the stage of life that is high school?
It's over before you know it. All those things that you're struggling with, they're so small in the grand scheme of things. But most of those people you're not going to see. Find the right ones, like I said. Don't overthink it. Pray the whole time. It's supposed to be fun, and when you set yourself up for that, it's possible. Looking back at my first couple years of high school, I probably didn't have the best friends, and I didn't have the best intentions, and didn't have the best experience in general. But that's because I wasn't giving it all to God, and I was overthinking everything and stressing about it and trying to live up to standards. And that just, looking back, I wish that I had found the right people right away and had those intentions right away, because it does go so fast and it is fun. But yeah, just don't overthink, pray about it, find the right people. Yeah. Yeah,
I think looking back on high school, it feels like the biggest stage of your life until the day you graduate.
Yeah, and then
it feels like
what was that? It's gone so fast.
What was all that for?
Yeah.
That was just a preparation for
again, you just start
college,
over
and then you go to
school.
college, and you'll realize this eventually, but it's the same thing, just a little bit different. And then it's okay, now it's life. And that's really, if I could tell high schoolers one thing, you only have really 18 years to be a kid. So enjoy it while you can, because when you become an adult, you have to be an adult the rest of your life.
Right.
You can't go back to being a kid.
Right. No.
And doing those things and having, you can't stay out late with your friends and then sleep until noon. That doesn't work when you have a real job. So enjoy that season of life. It's short.
Yeah.
And if you're, intentional about it, it can be a really great season of your life, and it can be a great time to make great habits and build good connections and have good friends. So I would soak up every minute you can, for sure.
Yeah. I remember being in, it was probably 6th grade, and thinking 2023 is never going to come.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people I've heard recently being like, oh, high school was so much fun. If I could do it over again, I totally would. And I feel like I couldn't really relate to that as much as other people, because I was ready. I was I'm ready to, get going with college, and I'm so excited for that stage of my life. But I've learned, I actually wrote a paper on this for one of my college classes, that wishing time away is not going to do you any good. It's important to be present in the moment.
Yeah.
And so I have learned lately that just stop and smell the roses and appreciate where you're at in life, because it's going to be gone like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a big thing, is understanding that it's a short season. Things probably aren't as important as you feel like they are. School is important.
Right.
Doing well in sports, or whatever activities you do, that is important. But it's not life or death. And don't wish it away because you want to some people love high school and they're like, oh, I wish I could just forever be in high school. That wasn't me either. Like, I did a year post-secondary and I was pretty excited to go to college.
Right, yeah.
But not wishing that time away, because once time is killed, have you ever heard I'm just killing time?
Yeah.
Once time is killed, it never is resurrected. So wherever you are, be all there. That's a good motto for life. Like, whatever season of life you're in, just be 100% present, because God's got something for you probably to learn in that season.
Yeah. And
the sooner you realize what that is, the more you're going to enjoy that season, the faster you're actually going to move on to the next one. So
when you graduated high school, what was something that you wish you would have known?
That's a good question. I wish I would have known how short that season of life actually was, and how much influence I probably had that I didn't realize.
Yeah, that's so true.
And how many people I really probably could have invested in. And I honestly, like, I think in high school we get in such a survival mode. Like, I'm trying so hard to fit in or blend in with my friend groups or do well at school or figure out what sports I'm supposed to be good at. Like, there's so much that you're thinking about that I think we get really self-absorbed. And I wish I would have invested in people, encouraged more people in high school. I wish I would have told more people that I believed in Jesus, and that I wish I would have just shared my faith more, because I think it's the most important message we could ever share. And the mission field that is high school is so wide. And so, I think if I could go back, that'd be the one thing. I would be less concerned about how I'm doing or what's going on in my life, and I would want to share what I know with other people, encourage other people more.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I think, like, some people don't realize that just the way you act can have such an influence on people. If you're a Christian and you tell people that you're a Christian, then you need to be mindful of how that would affect people if you're not living like you should. Yeah,
absolutely. I think whatever you are, be a good one.
Yeah.
I think maybe Abraham Lincoln or someone smart said that, but like, or Mark Twain or somebody, but I think if you claim to be a Christian, again, I understand people make mistakes and like, we're not perfect. We're all on a journey. If you can walk the talk, that's going to be very influential for people, very impactful. So, do you have any funny stories from high school that you want to share?
Oh
quickly?
My. I was quiet in school. I never really had many funny stories. I don't know if I...
You didn't get sent to the principal's office for anything?
No, I probably would have cried if that happened.
Yeah, me too. I did skip school one time.
And got caught.
No, I didn't. Okay, so here's the story, real quick. Not that I'm advising this. I'm just telling you what happened. Okay, so in my school... we had junior and senior privileges. So if you were like above a certain GPA, like good attendance, whatever, typically your study hall was a free hour. You could leave school. Oh. And for juniors and seniors, they would typically load that at like first or seventh period. So you could either show up late or leave early. So there was, junior, senior, and I was a sophomore and my friend was 2 years older, so he was a senior. And for whatever reason, though, his study hall was my study hall as well, and it was like fourth period. So it's like right by lunch. So we were in, my teacher's name was Mr. Karlstrom, and he was like a science teacher, but he had the study hall for the hour. He was gone, so we had a substitute teacher. And my buddy Mark wrote like, hey, his name on the paper, like senior privileges. And I just wrote on the paper because the teacher didn't know what grades we were in. So I just wrote my name down and wrote, senior privileges. Yeah. So we like left school in the middle of the day, and I was like a sophomore, so I was totally not allowed to do this. But we went to like the bakery and got like a bunch of donuts, and then we played tennis, of all things, right next to the high school.
Oh, smart.
And if you want to rob a bank and you just did, then go
Probably
sit
get
in
away.
the
Yeah.
go sit in the lobby. That'd be the smart thing to do, right? So I'm just playing tennis and eating donuts for an hour, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to lunch. So that's what I did with my free time, my free hour that I wasn't supposed to have. But
That was rebellious.
yeah, big time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and kids and like, you know, could see me through the window like, wow, what's that
Dylan's
freedom
in
like?
10th grade.
Yeah, how did he get out? And thanks for watching the podcast this month. We're going to be airing podcasts on the first Monday of the month, so check that out. And thanks for being on the show today, Isaac, as well as everyone else. And we'll hope to see you in July. God bless.